Hello, my name is Nguyen Thi Phuong from University of Education, Vietnam National University. Today, I'm very honored to be here and present at Industry 4.0 and Innovative Development of Technological and Vocational Education Conference. On behalf of my team, I will introduce about our research, the development and validation of sound competence framework for assessing students in grade. There are 5 main parts in our presentation. The first is introduction. The next is the theoretical framework for building and developing the skill. The next is methodology, and the fourth is results, and the last is a conclusion. Let me introduce about the introduction, and I will explain why we chose this topic to research. Vietnam education is now under changing from content-based learning to competence-based learning. Especially now we are applying the new general curriculum. That curriculum is going to apply to teach students in grade 6 in next school year, 2020 and 2021. Science competence is one of the 10 core competences that need to develop for students in the new general curriculum. So we want to do research to use literature review and survey research method to build and validate the assessment framework to measure student science competence. We think that it will help the teacher and student have the reference to apply new general curriculum. Next, we are introduced about the theoretical framework of our research. The first is about science literacy. There are many definitions of science literacy. It is the ability to engage with science-related issues and with the idea of science as a reflective citizen. Other definitions say that science literacy is the ability to creatively develop scientific knowledge and skills based on appropriate evidence, mostly related to life, work, and solve scientific problems. About the science competence components, we have compared 3 general curriculum in Vietnam, Australia, Singapore, and the framework of OECD. We point out that there are 3 main science competence components. The first is procedural science competence. The next is scientific inquiry competence. And the last is science application towards sustainable development. Science literacy can be defined as its ability to effectively apply knowledge and increase skill to solve problems in nature towards sustainable development. The first competence is procedural science competence. Is the ability of students to master content knowledge related to natural sciences to apply the different life situations. About the second competence, scientific inquiry competence, is the ability to explore the phenomena through investigative activities like data analysis and scientific communication to answer the problems students inquire. And the last is student application towards sustainable development. Is the ability to combine the knowledge and skill to explore science with the right attitude and solve problems in practice towards sustainable development. The first is about the perceptual science competence. We have proposed 5 criteria and using Bloom taxonomy to assess this competence because in Vietnam, the teacher is familiar with the assessing knowledge, so we don't care much about that competence. The next competence is about scientific inquiry competence. After compare 4 frameworks, we have proposed 6 criteria of this competence: is questioning, planning, implementing, interpreting, presenting, and negotiating. And the last is the science application towards sustainable development. we are proposed 3 criteria. The first is explain, make decisions, and solve practical problems based on scientific knowledge. The next is adjust scientific knowledge based on practice. And the last is attitude and action towards the world around them under influence of science. Based on 14 criteria, 39 items were used to design the tools for student self-assessment and surveys with this questionnaire. Now we move on to the third pass methodology. A survey was conducted to collect self-assessment data about student science competence. The sample is 207 students in 4 junior high schools in 3 different provinces in Vietnam. 49.5% of them are the female. Students in all schools have the opportunity to access the new teaching methods, so they had the chance to develop their science competence. About the scale, we are using 5-point Likert scale from the strongly disagree to strongly agree with the description, which helps the student easier to self-assess. After collecting the data, we are using Conquest and SPAS to analyze the results is presented. Because the perceived science competence is assessed using Bloom taxonomy, so only competence I and A are analyzed to confirm their structure. The first is about the reliability. All factors have compact alpha value accepted, as you can see on the table 7 on table 8 in the slides. So next we are using exploratory factor analysis to confirm the construct of the 3 competence combinations. The result of KMO was 0.912. The balanced test has the approximate chi-square was 2,922.6, and the significance is lower 0.05, which confirms the relevant data for factor analysis. EFA using the principal components analysis and varimax with the casserole normalization approach the structure of science competence. And you can see the EFA results on the slide. After conducting the EFA, we have the new structure of the true components competence. The first is about the I competence. The I competence has divided into 4 groups named. The first is about the developing idea. The next is conducting experiments, and the third is data interpreting and presenting, and the last is negotiating to conclusion. About the science application towards software development competence, the framework, the structure is remained into the 3 paths. The first is effectively using the nature. The next is proposed about the protecting the natural world and the largest self-directed career in the future. After confirm the structure of the competence, we are using IRT to confirm the suitability of criteria and student competence. The chi-square test results of parameter equity show the suitable of the framework for IRT model. As you can see on the table 11, all the factors have the M and SQ values is suitable for the IRT model, and the D is the discrimination of the item. The results also point out the excellent discrimination of the criteria to assess students. Using the IRT model, we are calculating the difficulty of the items and the proposed 5 level of scientific competence curve from the -5 to 5 score follow the logic scale. Teacher can be used as scale to write the description and make the final decision for the student task. Moreover, when students receive their call, they also know exactly what they need to do to improve their competence. For the conclusion, our research has confirmed the reliability and validity and the good discrimination of science competence framework. The IRT model pointed out that the suitability of criteria, difficulty, and student competence. The framework can be used for students to self-assessing. Moreover, teachers can be used to develop assessment toolkits and projects that can calculate the student competence and confirm the effectiveness of the scale when applying in the school. For further research, we will use this framework to develop some methods to assess students through teaching natural science subject. Now is the end of our presentation. If you have any question, we can ask us through the email on the slide. Goodbye and thank you for listening.